Hello, welcome to our special coverage of the 70th anniversary celebration of the founding of the People's Republic of China on CGTN. I'm Julian Wakan in Beijing.
And I'm Li Chu, and thank you so much for joining us. This morning, a grand military parade was held in the nation's capital, marking the 70th birthday of New China, officially kicking off the celebrations.
It was spectacular.
Absolutely.
In the coming hours, we'll be bringing you the highlights of the evening gala and fireworks.
That's right. We've got a big show tonight, so let's get started.
And we're also joined in the studio by Professor Teng Jimeng and David Bartosz. Welcome, gentlemen.
Welcome.
Now, in case you've missed out on the parade this morning, let's take a look at the highlights. It's been called a celebration like no other in China's history. The military parade commemorating the 70th anniversary of the People's Republic of China began Tuesday morning, Beijing time, in Tiananmen Square.
Right, and 15,000 military personnel and thousands of spectators, some of them foreign guests, took part in the big military parade here in China's history. CGTN's reporter Tang Bo has this.
A 70-gun fire salute, signaling the start of a day that will not soon be forgotten.
升国旗，唱国歌。
A day of celebrations, complete with national flag raising and a parade, the largest of its kind. President Xi Jinping's morning keynote speech touched upon China's development over the years and the challenges that lie ahead.
In the past 70 years, all the ethnic groups in the country have, with the same heart and mind, strived hard to reach great achievements that have impressed the world. Today, socialist China is majestically standing in the east of the world. No power can shake our great nation's status. No power can stop the Chinese people and nation from stepping forward.
President Xi inspected the participating troops, thanking each of them for their hard work in upholding China's safety and sovereignty. The soldiers responded in unison by saying, "Serve the people." The eye-catching military parade started right after the troop inspection. In total, 59 formations, with more than 160 aircraft and 580 pieces of military equipment were featured in the parade. New weapons with a high level of artificial intelligence and better striking accuracy were displayed, including the HQ-6 gun missile defense system, CJ-100 cruise missiles, and DF-41 intercontinental ballistic missiles. 40% of the armaments were shown to the public for the first time. The military parade was then followed by a civilian procession that featured 36 formations, comprised of some 100,000 people from all walks of life, along with 70 floats. The civilian parade took the stage to showcase some historic turning points in China's development over the years, including the opening up policies, the One Country, Two Systems model shared with Hong Kong, and 2008 Beijing Summer Olympic Games. Provinces, municipalities, autonomous regions, as well as special administrative regions also took the opportunity to demonstrate their economic growth on float vehicles. Having seen some of the previous National Day celebrations, this one today seems like the best yet. It's the biggest, has the largest number of participants, spectators, and weapons. However, it is not about flexing the nation's muscles, as the Ministry of National Defense says, but demonstrating China's commitment of maintaining regional stability and world peace. And for me, it's an integration of art and technology and so much more. 汤博 CGTN, Beijing.
The parade is so big, it's hard to miss the parade if you're in the heart of Beijing. Now, I was watching the parade from out of my window. I was watching the parade on TV, and I know this has been called the largest parade in the history of the country. Now, David, I know you were lucky enough to be invited to the parade, to watch the parade this morning. What was that like in person?
It has been absolutely spectacular. I have been there with a delegation of high-level foreign experts, so we were very honored to participate in this event and to watch. And it has been amazing. I mean, the accuracy, the precision of the soldiers, the female soldiers, they were so disciplined and beautiful at the same time. And the kids, they were very happy, and you could see a lot of people from all over China. So all the provinces where their cultures were represented. The history was represented. There were even some, the food, these waimai, these food service, the people who bring the food, they were represented. And I even spotted Lang Lang along. He was also walking in the parade, but at first glance I didn't really recognize him.
He was performing at the 60th anniversary.
Yeah. And now he was just an ordinary participant this time, and it was very amazing to see all these people, and the children were very happy. The students, there were a lot of universities were present, and to see this whole event and this amazing symbolism and a representation of the history of the last 70 years, and it is also kind of I think a symbol. It's also a symbol for a new step, something that China has achieved over the 70 years.
That was quite an experience, and I guess a lot of people around the world are watching this, and most Chinese in the country are watching this either online or on TV, or at least some clips of it, right?
All my friends asking me now. I have to share my experience with them. All my Chinese friends want to know how that has been to be there.
You're gonna have to tell the same story again and again.
And Professor Teng, let me bring you into this. I mean, a lot of people, by watching the parade, they do get a greater sense of national pride and confidence. How does it feel to you, though? What kind of notable changes have you noticed compared this parade to the previous anniversary celebrations?
Yeah, well, the phrase I might use at this point is change of epic proportion. I mean, at this point, what I can point it out is the 1984 35th anniversary celebration. This is absolutely standing out compared to that very celebration.
Right, that was a big one too.
That was a big one too. In fact, that was almost China's coming out party in terms of this great achievement, China's door opening to the rest of the world. And this one stands out to me is that this demonstrates all the great achievements that China has made over the past 70 years in terms of nationalization of the nation's economy, and also the great industrialization and urbanization that China has achieved ever since 1949. And all these great achievements actually was paraded out there, not just the military, not just the kind of a military hardware, but also the science and technology, the hardware, the humanism, the great humanitarian courses that involve all the Chinese ethnicities, as President Xi has mentioned.
Right, people from all walks of life are represented there.
Absolutely. And recently, there's been a remastered footage, a colored footage of the inaugural ceremony of the founding of the People's Republic of China in 1949. Now, that was really something. Our producer actually prepared a little clip from that. Let's take a look. What a stark contrast looking at this parade celebration in 1949. Now, Professor Teng, you were talking about contrasts. What sort of strikes you the most looking at the footage from 1949?
Well, The one held in 1949 actually was held right after China, the People's Republic of China was founded. It was a nation devastated by war and also suffered this very stark poverty. It's a country with no money at the time. Money has no value basically, and peasants in rural countryside, peasants suffering this kind of stark poverty. But then with Chairman Mao's declaration of this very great nation, everything changed. I mean, the surface of the planet, of this part of the earth, was changed socially, economically, and culturally. And with Mao, I mean, look at all these great leaders out there. They were young, they were in their 50s. I mean, it made me cry basically when I was watching the film back at home. I watched this before. It was a time, I think, that this nation was basically in its infancy and still actually expecting this huge growth. And with the wise and the visionary leadership of the first generation of Chinese leaders like Chairman Mao, Deng Xiaoping, and Zhou Enlai, these are the people that led the nation out of trouble, out of poverty, out of the humiliations of the Western powers. And right now, I think that we all owe a huge gratitude to these great leaders. Right. And I see a great detail in this parade. Following the sedan, the red flag was an empty red flag with the car plate number 1949. And I think that was reserved for the first generation of Chinese leaders like Chairman Mao. And I hope that Chairman Mao and also the first generation would watch this great achievement with President Xi today.
Yeah, what an unprecedented change. Yeah, the country has modernized so fast, faster than any other country actually on the planet. When you put it that way, that's pretty incredible. Well, the Grand Military Parade was the centerpiece of the day's celebrations.
But tonight, the skies of the capital will see a massive fireworks display set against the city's skyline. There also will be a light show, singing, and of course, dancing. Take a look.
The viewing stand at Tiananmen will be transformed into a stage to create a walk-through experience for the audience. Taking the stage will be a choir composed of over 2,000 people. Most of the performers are students from a kung fu school in Henan province, while others are from Beijing.
We are honored, especially when we stand at Tiananmen Square. We're excited by such a spectacular view.
For some performers, the show is a test of physical strength. Those teenagers have to hold props weighing over 3 kilograms for the 1.5-hour show. Repeated rehearsals helped organizers select the most skilled students, while others take backstage as the alternative.
I'm taking care of the stage property and making sure the performers stand at the right place during the show. They will be confused without our arrangements for the 2,000 points to stand at. I still feel proud. It's a job like a sanitary workers who isn't on stage, but is still fulfilling a role.
The night's performances will end with a firework display, helping to create not just a festival for the people, but also a festival for the eyes. Yang Ye, CGTN.
I love how everybody is represented at the parade.
Right. And many people born in the 60s or 70s were actually, they had the chance to attend such celebrations at Tiananmen Square. Earlier we were talking about this, our senior producer, or some of our senior producers, they had the chance to go there, be there by themselves. And Professor Tong, you've seen the country coming a long way throughout the past few decades. How different was it in terms of the celebration when you were young?
Well, China actually traveled a long and convoluted way in terms of achieving the current great achievement. When I was young, for example, when I was actually watching the 1984 parade out there, I mean, when you look around, I mean, basically the country was still kind of stuck in this very backwateredness. I mean, our science and technology, our face of the urban cities are still kind of being transformed, or just started.
Yet I heard the celebration was no less. I know you were invited to one of the celebrations, then you were invited to a state banquet. What was that banquet like?
Well, the banquet actually was fun. It was food, it was great drinks, it was kind of a collective euphoria. I mean, basically, it was about this great demonstration of the culinary culture of China. For example, right in the middle of the table, there's always this phoenix the phoenix flying, the dragon flying. And once again, we embedded great meaning to those kind of symbols and icons that our motherland is now flying and now being actually kind of kicking off and taking off from the back, from the poor and backward past. And so food is, once again, in Chinese we say food matters, 民以食为天. And so every single banquet you'll be treated. I mean, it's basically royal treatment.
Well, the phoenix is flying and dragons are taking off in celebration, and there are so many ways to celebrate. For instance, filmmakers have been looking to make a splash by releasing productions that coincide with this big 70th anniversary.
Absolutely. Though patriotism is an overriding theme, expect some moving personal stories and lots of A-list names.
0分0秒升起中国国旗。
Yes, madam.
Helmed by veteran director Chen Kaige and supported by 6 other film directors. My People, My Country, a 7-part anthology, focuses on national memories and presents Chinese people's stories that took place during the 7 key periods in the past 70 years.
Welcome to the Red Territory, Mr. Snow.
Another movie making headlines is The Secret of China, directed by Wang Jixing. It tells the story of American journalist Edgar Snow venturing into northwestern China to get the scoop in the 1930s. Meanwhile, the adventure-style movie The Climbers, directed by Daniel Lee, features an all-star cast, including blockbuster action hero Wu Jing and veteran actress Zhang Ziyi. The film tells how the China Everest Climbing Commando achieved the first historic ascent of Mount Kwamaloma, known as Mount Everest in the West, by conquering the North Ridge in May 1960. Another film, The Captain, directed by Andrew Lau, is a cinematic rendition of one of the most dramatic emergency landings in Chinese aviation history in southwest China's Sichuan province in May 2018.
Now, most of those movies have just come out yesterday, the day before the National Day. Now, I'm a big film buff, so I want to see all of these movies. But what about you, David? Which one do you really want to get to check it out?
Oh, I want to check out the Captain.
Oh, me too. Disaster movies, that's my cup
son
of tea.
already watched it today, but I was busy, so I've been busy. But I would really love to see that because it shows, it somehow teaches us something about people being in very dangerous, difficult situations, and they make the best out of it, and they are very professional. And I think this is a great story for all of us to learn from. And I think also a lot of people in real life have been able to achieve a lot during also the time of the 70 years of this history. And I have heard a lot of stories, great stories about Chinese people. For example, if I can share that, I'm always thinking about a professor. He's now in his 80s, a physics professor. And he, when he was young, he was in Germany, he had a scholarship. He was the very first person coming from China to Germany to study physics, and he used mostly all of his German scholarship. He saved the scholarship and he bought a computer, and he brought back the computer to China, and it was the first computer at his institute. So this is a great achievement of somebody, and I think there are a lot of these stories. And of course, The Captain. I mean, that's wow. I mean,
that's based on a true story.
It's a true story. It's a true story. It really happened, and it's amazing to think about this. I mean, this is all. They're real role models, these kind of people, and I really love to see such kind of movies being produced.
And all the movies, the 3 Chinese domestically made movie, they some kind of feature the patriotism, the theme of heroism. Do you expect them to do well in terms of box office, though? Professor Chen, does it resonate with young people these days?
Well, absolutely. And one thing I'd like to review at this point, I was a translator of all the 7 short films of My People, My Country. In that sense, I went to the premiere of the film. It was a full packed house. I mean, everyone was out there. It was a 3,000 kind of a seat movie theater out there. And right now, it was the box office revenue right now is like 600,000 at this point.
Well, we have a cornucopia of films to look forward to this National Day holiday. But of course, the biggest spectacle of all will be the anniversary celebration evening gala tonight. We're just moments away from the gala. Now, before we turn to the gala, I want to also go back to you about why such a fervor for these patriotism films, Professor Deng? Because there are a cornucopia of choices for people to choose from, but the patriotism film seems to have done very well recently in recent years. For instance, we have The Wonder in Earth. We also have the Wolf Warrior 2. That's as well.
Well, I think it coincides with this very ethos and zeitgeist. Let me use this German word, right? Yes. The zeitgeist, the times, the spirit of the times. I think China is rising, and China is rising peacefully, and China rises by pulling out, for example, almost 500 million people out of poverty. And this is one of these greatest achievements that China needs to be proud of. At the same time, Chinese national defense strength also strengthened, but it's not supposed to be flexing the muscle, but it's supposed to be deterrent of war, because China suffered from war. At the same time, I think with the young people, for example, we call them the Z generation, the millennials generation, right? Yeah. And so, I mean, they actually grew up in this very new era. They experienced this very great achievement, and in a sense, they grow with the country and they see the great achievement. And so the love of the country is natural. It's a natural emotion. And so filmmakers actually try to cater to this very great emotion, and also the sentiments, the love of one's country, the pride in this in one's country, in our country, in this case. And the stories are told not in the kind of a cultural revolutionary slogan style. Now it's human, it's close, it's intimacy. It's all about these small, let's say, the common folks.
It's including all of humanity, isn't it? The Wandering Earth is a story about humanity as a whole, and China's function and place in
the United Earth government involving all the people living on this planet.
And not to mention, there is a stellar cast as well too. Most of these movies, for instance, My People, My Country, is helmed by director Chen Kaige, who is known for Farewell, My Concubine. And also there is Zhang Ziyi and Wu Jin starring in The Climbers, the film. There is Chen Kaige. There is, as I mentioned earlier, there is also a bunch of other celebrities basically in all of these films being featured at this national holiday.
Yeah, I mean, it featured all the A-listers in this very country. I mean, Zhang Ziyi and Zhang Hanyu, for example, in the Chinese in the Captain story, and Wu Jing in The Climbers. I mean, this is a film that involves all the great actors and actresses, the performing artists in this very nation.
Wu Jing should be called a national hero because he's in both The Climbers and My People, My Country.
Oh, right, yeah.
Absolutely.
So for those of you who are just joining us, we're standing by for the night gala celebrating the 70th birthday of New China. That's going to start any moment from now, and this is such a special day, a day of celebration for China and the 1.4 billion people. If you think about it, over the past 7 decades, the country really went through unprecedented change, tremendous transformation, and modernized so fast and lifting 700 million people out of poverty.
Now the gala is just moments away. We're going to turn to the historic Tiananmen Square, but before that, let's take a look at this. Now we're looking at an image of the historic Tiananmen Square right there. This is where Chairman Mao Zedong made the famous proclamation of the founding of the People's Republic of China back in 1949.
Right, and remember, this is a 5,000-year-old civilization standing on the shoulder of its ancestors, reinvigorating itself at the dawn of 21st century. Let's listen in.
Well, the Tiananmen Square is on the southern end of the Forbidden City. It's flanked by the National Museum of China and the Great Hall of the People on either side.
And today, China is opening a new chapter for itself, embracing globalization, engaging with the world like never before, as it continues to forge its own future while committing to building a shared future for mankind. And today is the celebration of what modern China has achieved over the past 7 decades.
We're seeing beautiful aerial shots of the Chang'an Boulevard, which runs along the heart of Beijing.
And tonight, hundreds of thousands of performers or ordinary citizens are going to put together one-of-a-kind show for people in China and viewers around the world. You don't get to see that very often, so you definitely don't want to miss it. And so far, we actually know very little about the show, so we'll be watching it with you for the very first time.
庆祝中华人民共和国成立70周年联欢活动，现在开始。
At the start of the celebration.
And this is a celebration of the 70th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. Chinese President Xi Jinping and other officials sitting atop the Tiananmen Square, about to witness a historic celebration of the 70th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. Chinese people have kept forging ahead, making innovations and overcoming challenges. We have created the Chinese wonder and demonstrated our strength. Today, at this moment, No matter where they are, all the Chinese people in the world will proudly sing a song for the 5-star red flag in our motherland.
China's 56 nationalities from a big happy family and live on this glorious piece of land. Every person in the country will beat the drums and sing together.
The drums are surging and the people are shouting happily. The drums and passionate shouting express our joy about the 70 years of achievements. Square. The people are dancing to express their happiness.
Our dear motherland has gone through hard times, but she's still in her youth.
The gorgeous fireworks on display now symbolize our motherland's glory and vitality. When you measure the vast earth with your strides, you will hear the most resounding echoes of your footsteps. Over the past 70 years, New China has explored constantly and unswervingly and blazed its own trail on the China Road. What Chinese wisdom and courage this path embodies, what Chinese speed and miraculous achievements this path has witnessed.
Some brave and pioneering Chinese people have built roads, bridges, and railroads in the steep mountains so that people in the remote areas can have access to convenient transportation.
How valiant the pioneer Chinese people who with industry and courage braved the heat and windstorms of the inhospitable Gobi Desert and have plowed its sandy earth. Their efforts have converted barren fields into verdant oases and brought the bounty of nature to the frontiers of our motherland.
The turbulent, vast blue sea will never forget that the courageous, pioneering Chinese people are those who have built bridges over the natural chasms and boosted the pride and confidence of China by astonishing the whole world.
The road to national rejuvenation has been opened up, and the Chinese people are stepping towards the dream of glory and to a triumphant destiny. Dragons are flying and the lions are dancing. Joy is everywhere in China, and the Chinese people are smiling, the mountains are smiling, and the rivers are smiling.
All over China, from south to the north, from the east to the west, the proud Chinese people are all celebrating this great night of joy. poetic landscape. In the spring, the clouds are drifting with the winds and give nourishing rain, dampening and irrigating the vast fields. The seedlings are struggling out of the earth and are growing into plants, sprouting leaves, and finally reaching to the sky as a tall tree.
Chinese people will never forget that 41 years ago, a great thunder awakened a new spring for new China. The story of China's reform and opening up policy has opened a fresh page of great development for the country and its people.
Like the spring rains, the reform and opening up policy has been nurturing the promising land all over China. And the diligent Chinese people have been making their homeland better and better.
This is an age worth fighting for. This is an age of great happiness. This is an age of blossoming dreams. This is a good age that is unprecedented.
Indeed, this is a good age that is unprecedented. Every Chinese can make and pursue his or her own dream. A giant butterfly kite is flying in the hands of a little girl, and we are looking up at the blue sky. We are expecting the future. We are being embraced with the beauty of the dreams. We are shouldering the future.
On the Chinese land of hope and warmth, the persistent Chinese people, hand in hand and generation after generation, have been planting the seeds of dreams. The dreams are growing to the sky and are blossoming with the great new age.
At this moment, the fireworks are depicting images of homes with happy and joyful playing children.
This is our sweetest home, where the diligent brothers and sisters are working hand in hand for a bountiful harvest and are sharing their happiness and accomplishments. The colorful wind wheels and the rotating light wheels are portraying the colorful and vibrant lives that the Chinese people are living.
The enthusiastic dancing and swift running are illustrating that the Chinese people of all ethnic groups are pursuing the great dream of the Chinese nation's rejuvenation at this moment.
万众的山脉，长江黄河春暖花开，云朵也洁白。山中的鸟儿大声的歌唱，唱出那快乐，享受着天籁。
This is a history-making era, an era full of stories. Looking back on the epic struggles of the past 70 years, we can see the great transformation of the Chinese nation from independence to prosperity to strength. We can see the transformation of socialism with Chinese characteristics from conception to development and improvement. And we can see the transformation of Chinese people's lives from being beset with scarcity to enjoying prosperity.
Now the Chinese nation is standing tall in the east of the world with a new posture and is stepping towards the great aim of the Chinese nation's rejuvenation. Now we are justified to enjoy the great celebrations, and now we are confident to make an appointment with the future.
It was because they carried the dream 70 years ago that the heroic Chinese people devoted their lives to the founding of New China.
Because of our dream, over the past 70 years, there have been so many heroic people striving on this land, exploring and pioneering for the development of New China.
Because we have a dream, there have been so many heroic people on this land setting out at the starting point of the new journey 70 years ago, shouldering more responsibilities, gathering together joyfully and vigorously. They will never stop, no matter what difficulties they face, from working towards a prosperous and splendid future.
China is a great country because it has always made the people its priority. Pursuing the happiness of the hundreds of millions of people has been the most touching chapter of its great 7-decade symphony.
This country is worth our love because however long and hard its journey has been, the party is always there serving the people and keeping the people's needs in its heart.
Let's forget not our founding aspiration and carry on the endeavor. The new era is like a massive ship carrying 1.4 billion Chinese people, making a new start, heading courageously towards the Chinese dream, sailing into eternity.
Seven white doves are flying in the sky over Tiananmen Square, symbolizing the sincerest wish for the prosperity and development of China and the heartfelt anticipation and longing for world peace.
An open China is reaching out to embrace the world. China is willing to make friends with people all over the world. China is willing to shoulder the responsibility courageously to build a community with a shared future for mankind.
At this moment, a white dove is transforming into a globe. The wisdom and goodwill of the Belt and Road Initiative link the past with the future, painting a magnificent panorama for China and the world achieving common prosperity.
China invites people all over the world to build a beautiful future hand in hand, one which is peaceful, safe, prosperous, and open. It is the continuous effort of New China for the common prosperity of the world. It is a passionate manifestation of the people for world peace.
微笑，我就是小英雄。我分担着海的忧愁，分享海的欢乐。我最亲爱的祖国，你是大海永不干涸，永远为我一样醒我心中的歌。
People are singing the song My Country and I at every corner of Tiananmen Square. It is the most passionate song from the heart of every Chinese son and daughter.
At this moment, the members of the Chinese Art Troupe for the Disabled are expressing their love for the country with their sign language, silent but full of passion.
For the country. This is the deepest love of every Chinese son and daughter for their motherland.
Long live the people. This is the journey of the Communist Party of China in the new era, continuing with the past and opening up the future. It was the original aspiration of the party and has never changed.
At this moment, China is all lit up. A peacock is spreading out its tail feathers in the firework tree. It embodies the auspicious wishes of Chinese people for the future of the motherland.
At this moment, bless the motherland. The square is magnificent and expresses the Chinese people's salute to a new era.
And that concludes the celebration.
Tonight, all the songs express one theme: sing for the motherland.
Tonight, only one voice resounding across the whole country through the deep mountains and the rivers. Long live the people.
Looking into the future, by the 100th anniversary of the Communist Party of China, a prosperous China will be flourishing. And by the 100th anniversary of the founding of New China, a modern, strong socialist China will be built up in an all-round way.
Let's closely, more than ever, unite around the party committee with President Xi Jinping as the core of his leadership, hold aloft the great banner of socialism with Chinese characteristics, with Xi Jinping's thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era as the guidance. Forge ahead with determination, work hard, and continuously struggle to achieve the decisive victory of building up a well-off society, to achieve the great victory of socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. China Media Group.
China Media Group. Audience and friends.
People from all nationalities across the country, compatriots from Taiwan, Hong Kong, Macau, and all Chinese around the world.
Let us once again express our wishes for the splendid prosperity of our great motherland.
The live broadcast of the celebration for the 70th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China has now concluded. Good night.
Good night.
Well, I was really impressed by this entire celebration. I was impressed with the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games opening ceremony, but I would say Zhang Yimou, who directed this evening gala, really has outdone himself, both in terms of the sheer size of this gala and also in terms of the innovations he's done. Now, David, what were some of the most remarkable moments for you tonight?
Oh, it has been absolutely overwhelming, and I think this show tells a story which goes back for thousands of years. It tells the story of the secret of Chinese people, which means unity and multiplicity. We saw people from all walks of life performing together. These were normal people from the streets, and they worked together. They have achieved this great ceremony together. It's the ancient idea of ceremony and music put into a completely new futuristic outlook in the sense of modern Chinese society of equal, where everybody is equal. And I liked very much this folk dance, where you had all the 56 ethnicities of China performing together. I think this has been the biggest folk dance event ever in history, I would say, and it was so complex and perfectly performed. I loved the apple tree, which symbolizes peace. I think there was this apple tree symbolism, and also the peace doves. So this constant emphasis which was put on peace, on coming together, on uniting by all these different influences without leveling them. Right. So come together. Everybody has their characteristics, and we share and we bring together and we create a new peaceful world, a new era. Mm-hmm. I think this has been a very strong symbol to the world.
Yeah, the number of performers involved in this show and the scale of such a performance is just impressive. Professor Tong, what impressed you the most?
Well, once again, I mean, the size and the sizable number of these very performers involved. I mean, 3,200 of them out there on the square, and also this very orchestra band. I mean, the stuff that hugely impressed me is this very 1,000 people orchestra band. I mean, think about it. I mean, on this very square, at this very hour of the night, I mean, you assemble such a great number of artists playing Western orchestra, but then once again, the music is ours. It's always folkish, Chinese, and with the central themes that runs from 1949 to 2019. I mean, basically, this is a musical feast.
I really love the LED display performance. I mean, it was spectacular. It was beautiful. Yeah. Each image that we saw is made up of 3,290 performers holding up these LED displays. And you know that each LED display is also made up of hundreds, if not thousands, of individual smaller LEDs. And it just captures this idea so well that it is a celebration, but it's also a celebration of the individuals, the soldiers, the heroes, the everyday people that have made this great country the way it is today.
Deep symbolism embedded in this whole performance. It's just
and no major mess ups, right? Every performer did their job beautifully, so bravos for them. But Professor Tong, why do you think such a gala is such a big deal for Chinese people? Because with this scale, I cannot imagine the time and effort being put into this, organizing the whole thing.
Well, yes, once again, I think it has to do with this sort of a time-honored tradition in China. I mean, basically Confucianism and our Confucius philosophy emphasized the so-called the notion of a collectivism, the very euphoria that you enjoy among this very community. And once again, I think it also be modernized at this very point, especially when we kind of refer to President Xi's community of the shared future for all humanity. This is really a kind of a cosmopolitanism, Chinese version, with all people united as one, with all the 56 nationalities united as one. They sing as one, they perform as one, and they sing and basically they perform as one people, as one nation. So this is basically our national tradition.
Well, National Day is not only a time for celebration, but also a time to take a break from it all.
Yeah, to hear how people are spending this National Day holiday, we hit the streets to find out what people have in mind. Check it out.
11我们全家团聚，然后祖孙4代，然后10月1号肯定就全天在家看那个直播。
没有要出去玩的那个打算，因为就人太多。
也没邀请我去看阅兵啊，然后可能会在北京周边玩嘛。
祖国70年华诞，我们最为祖国骄傲的是，正好女排10连冠，这是我们记忆中最激动的时刻。
感觉很多科技啊、军事啊都发展很快，然后跟10年前就感受都非常不一样。
我们的一生见证了祖国的成长。对我来讲，最好的祖国的爱吧，就是兢兢业业工作。
老百姓应该做不了什么太大的事儿，就是做好自己，然后提高自己的素质。
是把自己工作做好吧，然后就每个人就出自己的一份力，对。
Well, this National Day is being called a celebration like no other in China's history.
Well, let's have a look at how people across the country are marking the milestone.
Nearly 1,000 students in Qingdao, East China's Shandong province, spent hours painting symbols, such as red flag, 70 years, and 1949, to celebrate the country's birthday.
I drew me and my motherland on the ground. We wish a happy birthday to China in this way. I want to say I love you, China.
While in Shanghai, students and teachers gathered on the playground to sing Me and My Motherland to celebrate the National Day. They're from more than 30 countries and regions and have lived in China for many years.
I think it's really fun, although it's kind of hot, but the songs are nice to listen to. Shanghai is a very nice city, makes me feel very safe, and it makes me happy because I can go be a teenager and have a nice life with my friends.
And art installations in the city keep the heart of the national spirit beating.
Our key message is about the harmony. Each human has the heartbeat and each human has the emotion. And so we want to connect the humans together.
Hong Kong residents gathered to sing the national anthem in honor of the holiday. Margaret wishes are pouring in from across the country as the festivities continue.
Well, you don't get to hear the national anthem every day.
Yeah, and the fact that the 70th birthday of PRC has made this year's national holiday even more meaningful, right? Professor Tong, what's your plan during the holiday? Because people have a lot more choices these days to celebrate holidays, right? Traveling, short distance, long distance, overseas trips.
I gotta stay put. To tell you the truth, right? I'm gonna enjoy my film, my TV, with all these galas that I missed. I mean, especially this morning's kind of a parade, the parade of art, the parade of the military, the parade of the people from the science and communities. And so in a sense, I'm gonna stay put and watch the whole thing that I missed. I'm sure I'm gonna enjoy that, but then at the same time, food and friends get together. I mean, basically, that we have been separated because of busy work during these pre-October 1st days. And so in a sense, it's gonna be a friends get together and enjoy.
The national holiday is one of the longest holidays in China. It's 7 days.
Other than the Spring Festival, right?
Exactly.
Right.
So David, I wanted to ask you, you live in Beijing, but your family is very international. So how do you usually celebrate National Day?
Oh, I think this time we will stay in Beijing. So usually it's a good time to enjoy Beijing because Beijing is a great city. You can go to the imperial parks, ride a boat, enjoy with other people, visiting museums. There are a lot of museums. There's this great exhibition at the National Museum, but also a lot of new museums have just opened up. So I think we're basically staying here this time. But sometimes we're also traveling. But this time I would really love to enjoy Beijing lifestyle, and also, as you said, also reflecting on what we have just witnessed. I mean, this is just a historic event. It's such an amazing performance, and there are so many impressions now in my head, and which I have to digest a little bit. I need some days. I will need some days.
You sort of want to meditate over the holiday.
Exactly.
Well, it's not just in China where people are celebrating. Over many places, ocean apart, are also making this milestone.
That's right. So let's go around the globe for a sampling of the events.
Good wishes from half a world away. Ahead of a national day, China Red decorated the skyline of New York City on Monday. The Empire State Building followed its tradition of changing tower light colors to recognize special occasions. Starting at 6 in the evening, the red was on until midnight. Inside the city landmark were ceremonies and performances. Although far from home, Chinese people there were conveying their dearest wishes through folk music and traditional dancing. Over in Europe, a concert was held in Poland's capital, Warsaw. They have something else to commemorate besides China's 70th anniversary. This year also marks 70 years of diplomatic relations between China and Poland. People didn't leave an empty seat in the hall. The concert ended with the famous Chinese song, I Love You, China. The city of Liverpool in Northern England has the oldest Chinese community in Europe, though things have changed over the last 7 decades. This orchestra of kids, with a tune they wrote especially for the PRC's 70th anniversary. The teacher says the traditional music is a bridge for them to get back to Chinese culture. While in South America, the sound of drums and the traditional dragon dance. It is a sight seen more often in Brazil this time, celebrating the inauguration of Rio de Janeiro's first Chinese park, a small but symbolic space located in the heart of the city. There were other demonstrations of different styles of Kung Fu. The event also marked 45 years of diplomatic ties between China and Brazil. This animated graphic of the project shows how the 5,000 square meter park was conceived. Occupying space on both sides of one of Rio's main avenues, the park includes elements of China's ancient architecture, City officials say they hope the park will be a stepping stone, Brazil having its first Chinatown.
We're seeing so many celebrations overseas, not just in China, and I can imagine what these celebrations mean and the emotions outpouring from watching these celebrations overseas. Professor Teng, I want to ask you what these celebrations can possibly mean for the Chinese expats overseas.
It means cohesiveness. It means the longing for a rising China, a homeland that they have been aspired to return to. I mean, in Chinese we say, basically you return home when you are old, and so 落叶归根. And so in this sense, it all reminds them of this very long and deeply rooted kind of a psyche in our mind. This is in our blood that you are supposed to return back to your homeland. And so we look at the Empire State in New York. Basically that was in America. But then once again, it's people that long for a homeland, even if that you are supposed to be far away from your country. And so it's the longing, it's the kind of a missing home sort of a sentiment.
And activities like this, National Day celebration, Spring Festival celebration, they're really allowing people in the world to get a taste of Chinese culture, to know more about its tradition and history. To you, David, how meaningful do you think this kind of cross-cultural activities are?
It's so important because it's, in a sense, giving something back to the world. China has really done its homework for over 70 years, has learned something, has acquired something, has lifted 800 million people out of poverty, has introduced a marvelous education system, and now this is all the traditions now are also presented in the world outside of China. And this means also projection of the new Chinese civilization, and I think this is very important. So China is also providing something, giving something back, introducing a new idea to the world, and so these festivals are an incredible possibility to do that.
Gentlemen, the night is young, but China has already turned 70. Thank you so much for celebrating this milestone with us. And that does it for our special coverage of the 70th anniversary celebration of the founding of the People's Republic of China. A new age, a new start for everyone.
Yeah, we wish a happy birthday to the People's Republic of China. And for those of you who are celebrating, happy holidays.
I'm Julian Wakan.
I'm Li Qiuyuan.
Thank you for watching.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.